Just waiting for Jim and Joe to give me some good news. It's 8 o'clock. Where are you guys? Waiting for my good news. Get your fat asses online already.
It's not the X's and the O's. It's the Jimmys and the Joes.
It was a legitimate call. It made sense. It was pass interference. I don't care what anybody says. That was pass interference, offensive pass interference.
Yeah.
Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football from two men in the know. It's Ball on the Know with Jim and Joe.
And you can win under pressure when it's there. You call runs when you're not supposed to, and Dak Prescott is throwing it in the dirt.
You know, I'm convinced that Jameis Winston is going to have an ESPN special 30 for 30.
Could be. All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome once again to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, know-it-alls? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know Show. We are ready to go here. Let's go.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been pretty crazy here the last couple of days here, along with the NFL, with all the news that's going on, you know, and everybody's still dealing with COVID-19. Baseball still having issues there, not getting started. You know, the bubble and the NBA. But we're here to talk about some football, and the big news that's going on now is the Washington Redskins out there finally retiring the name, announcing on Monday that they are done. You know, no longer Redskins. So, I mean, that's epic. It's been that for, 88 years or something like that?
Right.
So, that's a monumental thing that's happened now in the NFL due to some of the social changes that's been happening around the world, even right now with everything. So, we wanted to touch on that a little bit because there's a few interesting things along with that whole thing with the Redskins. The fact that Daniel Snyder had standed firm when he, when they had asked him to change the name a few times, he'd say, "I'm absolutely not changing it, no matter what." And then it comes down to this, to where he is now forced because they're pulling money away. FedEx was part of that. Sponsors kept, Nike. They kept getting. Pulling money away from them. So when it starts to affect his bank account, he's got to go to change it. So first of all, I would like to say that the fact that people are now complaining after he has now said that they're retiring the name, that, whether he should get, a kudos or a hands, a clap of hands and say, well, good for you, buddy. Or, that he should even still apologize for even keeping the name for so long, I think is just preposterous. I mean, for people that are arguing and saying, he doesn't deserve any kind of, hand clapping or this and this, that attaboy and stuff. I think that is kind of a ridiculous statement, because you shouldn't expect anything from it at all. I mean, he's an owner. He doesn't care too much what other people think outside of what he's doing.
Absolutely not.
And I mean, does anybody need something? I don't need to look for encouragement or something like that after I do something that's pretty much right and wrong, whether I was forced to or not. And one, I don't need to apologize to anybody for any kind of actions I might have been doing along with the team, because when you go and purchase the team, I think why he wanted to stand by it so strongly before is because the history just of the team itself being there.
Right.
I'm a proud owner of the Redskins. There are proud players that formerly played for the Redskins. They have even come out and said that they are proud that they were part of that franchise under that name. Yes, it might have been a racial slur at one point to a certain type of people and stuff. Now that's finally changed for everybody. But for people to argue the fact that he deserves this or he should not deserve, kudos or whatever, I really don't care. I think it's stupid. Why are we arguing about this, Joe?
Yeah, it shouldn't be even an argument, actually. I mean, Dan Snyder, just like any other owner, doesn't care what we think, doesn't care what the media thinks, doesn't care what even for a businessman like Dan Snyder, he doesn't care what anybody thinks. So he's going to do what he feels is necessary and best for his organization. And obviously, yes, there is a little bit more of a pull now because sponsors are backing out of this movement that's starting to go. It's kind of intertwining the social. We're intertwining the social injustice part with all the protests that are going on and that kind of those serious issues that are still being handled today. That is part of this movement. That's why you're seeing sponsors now starting to take a stand saying, well, we don't want to invest our money with you guys or even have our name involved with you guys because it's all PR. That's what it is. That's what this move is being thrust into. It's because it's bad PR for the organization, and because it's bad PR for the organization, these sponsors that are tied to that organization are like, wait, this isn't going to be good for us either because we're tied with them. So that's where the standoff started to happen. And Dan Snyder recognizes this and says, okay, well, we're going to lose large amounts of money and support from our sponsors. We do indeed need to start making a move now to rectify any kind of distance from these sponsors and from the people for listen, Native Americans for a long period of time have seen this logo as derogatory towards them in a negative light. They're seeing it as racism, and you could make that case very easily. I mean, why did they choose a red man on the side of their helmet? They could have had a Native American on there, but why does it have to be red? So you start to see the similarities in the argument and where that was all headed. And now, finally, for the Native Americans out there, for people that were against this logo from day one, it is now being changed. We don't know to what just yet, but there's 1,000 of different opinions and names that have been thrown around. There's actually been a laundry list of them, and one of them, which we kind of brought up on our show a week or two ago, we actually thought Washington Warriors was one, and sure enough, that's on the list. Another one that we heard a couple weeks ago or a week ago was the Red Wolves. That's one, but for me, that kind of sounds like a college team. You know what I mean? Something sounds similar to what a college team would be called. But yet again, the other funny part of this whole story, if you can make any kind of comedy out of it, is that there is a gentleman that has trademarked or patented these name ideas that the Redskins were thinking about. Now he owns the rights to them.
Absolutely, to a bunch of them. Yep, absolutely. And they said that after July 3rd, when Dwayne Haskins said on Twitter that he likes the Red Tails, to the Redskins, 2 days later, this gentleman, I think it's John McCauley, he is a realtor from Virginia. He had placed the trademarks there on those teams now, on those names. So now if the Washington Redskins want to be changed to any of those team names, they have to go through him and pay him.
Pay the
is
man.
A genius move on him.
Pay the man.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sad I did not have the money or the idea to think of this. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? But again, not a very smart move on Daniel Snyder again, who has time and time again made bonehead mistakes with some things interfering with picks that he gets, along the lines with the draft. But now even this deciding you're going to change the name, look forward into it, look at other names and not talk to even a patent agent or somebody else, part of your squad that you have along with you.
Yeah.
Should I get these trademarks first before I leak out any of these names or say I'm debating some of these
Isn't
names?
that the craziest thing, though, about this whole situation is that Daniel Snyder, who is a businessman himself, has been very successful, thus leading him to owning a franchise. In business, don't you think it's good to get ahead of the game and not to have to get any more hurdles in your way? Because now, you look at some teams like the Rams that are newly moving on to different locations. They're getting a new stadium. Same thing with the Raiders. Those respected teams, when they well before they were even moving, they got the patents and everything for the legal name change, for everything, where the location they were going to, for their stadiums, for everything. You know what I mean? Whereas Dan Snyder, I'm sorry, like, what were you doing this whole time beforehand? You weren't worried about trying to get a few names down and saying, hey, you know what? Because of these names that we're thinking about, guess what? I need these patented right now. Tomorrow, next week, however soon we can get this patented, let's do it now, so that way we don't have to run into another obstacle that they're going to run into right now with this gentleman who has patented all these different names. And if they want one of these names now, they're going to have to pay the man. They're going to have to pay him to get the right to have that name for their respective team. That's absolutely insane. It's a brilliant move, but And you know what? Maybe nobody was even thinking about this but this dude, because he's making it happen now. He's got the Redskins.
He could potentially be a millionaire.
Let's just call him Washington right now, because they don't have a name. Let's just say Washington is now kind of got their hands tied in a sense, and it's only over a name. That's the craziest part of this. So they are coming out with a completely new logo. We've seen that. So this logo that you're seeing on the screen is going to be no longer there.
That's the last you're going to be seeing it.
And obviously, they have to decide on a name before they start planning out this logo. And who knows? Maybe by then, this gentleman starts patenting those type of pictures. You know what I mean, before you know it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and it's funny when you bring up the different names that are out there, and what we were discussing before about people going after the Redskins and Daniel Snyder, and whether he should be commended for making the move finally and stuff like that. I think it's a dumb argument here, but when I heard, I think it was Bomani Jones on ESPN Radio, he had said, even gone further to the fact to say, listen, I'm appalled that anybody would even say that he deserves anything, because he doesn't, because he stood on something, that was wrong already. Which, okay, whatever. But then even that, the fact, he hates even the fact that they're looking into a military type of name. He is offended that they are going even towards a military team. He says, what does a football team or even this have to do with the military or bring involved with
located?
Them? The generals, this and that.
Where's it located?
Yeah, Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. Right, even outside of where our military Quantico base and things like that. It's all right there in Virginia, right outside of there. Hello, yeah. So, but he thinks that's offensive, and even people are jumping onto the fact that even being the Warriors could be offensive. Again, you're using a Native American term. Somehow even the Warriors can be about anybody. I mean, the Golden State Warriors are there, so if you want to attack Warriors, now it seems to me like you're just making a personal attack on the Washington franchise
the Washington we don't know
Daniel Snyder. So again, I think this is all just right now just fodder for people because they're bored with talking about stuff, so they got to make up things. I'm just ranting about it a little bit here, so I'm not going to get too much on it.
They should just play it safe.
Irritated that they are irritated, I guess.
They should just play it safe. Let's just rename them right now and call them the Washington Whatchamacallits.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
How you going to go?
I think, again, because a lot of people are talking about even, dealing because they have the Hogs, the family, that's there, the fans. And I've thought maybe the Pigskins, because, again, Pigskin is a nickname for football.
Right.
That includes the Hogs, so you can still have your Hog fans. Yeah. And then also they could still be shortened as the Skins.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So I think it kind of serves everybody as a purpose there, and it works out. Instead of everybody complaining about, whether he's doing the right thing for the right reasons, which for me, I don't care.
Right.
It's changing. Changes are made. There you go. And whether the names, though, if this guy already has the trademark on all the names, go find another name secretly, and this time keep it in-house. Don't let it leak.
Yeah, I don't know. What was the thinking on that part? It should have been only talked about in a small inner circle, and don't tell anybody. Don't release any information whatsoever, and then you wouldn't have to worry about that. So, yeah, it's a very unpleasant situation for the Washington whatchamacallits. We're going to stick with that. And until they find a name, that's what I'm going to call them.
There you go.
But yeah, and in all fairness, like your idea, that's a great idea. You can call it the Pigskins, but then that second part, that latter part of that name is still might be just the skin.
Just enough.
You know what I mean? Just enough. Just enough for a reminder. Do you know what I'm trying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because they're even maybe taking away the burgundy red, the maroon and the gold colors, maybe going a whole new look there.
Oh, I think they are going to.
Yeah,
I think they're just going to revamp the whole uniform, revamp the logo, revamp the name, and then hopefully sometime soon we're going to find out what direction they're going to go. And we can move on past this.
All right, yeah. So we'll move on. We'll see what happens moving forward, along with those patents and the trademarks on the Washington's new name here. Moving forward, I'm sure everybody's excited. And also, this weekend they're going to put out the full Madden rankings now. along for that team. So we're excited. We do our Madden re-rankings, re-ratings every season. So everybody loves to tune in for those, where we go through and see all the attributes that actually matter and do all the math for it, and then re-rate them and what it should be based on even their own information. We look at their information, see all the numbers, and how you get 99 for Patrick Mahomes. I have no freaking clue. How do you get that?
Well,
Just because they won the Super Bowl? Okay. But anyways, we'll find out. We're going to start that next week, starting with quarterbacks.
That's right.
And speaking of which, that brings up our In the Know fact of the day, Joe. There we go. And June 1st here, 1988, the first John Madden video game was released here. Yeah, back in June 1st, 1988. A long, long time ago. You and I were just small little boys and stuff.
10 years
old.
Some
people weren't even born anymore. So that's our In the Know fact of the day. And I remember the first John Madden football game. It is nothing like it is now.
No.
And what's funny is you hear the kids these days, and see, I even termed that thing. Why did I do that to myself? I just dated myself. You hear people complain nowadays that he ran past the route. Oh, he doesn't do this. Oh, his catching, the flow is wrong. Right. It's like they used to be blocks on the screen.
How can the linebacker jump 10 feet and intercept the ball?
Like they're telling you it's a player, but I can't tell that's a player. You know what I mean?
It was just blocks of color.
Yeah, so it's gone so much further. Back in my day, though, Tecmo Bowl, I think, was better than John Madden.
Tecmo Bowl was killer.
Bowl,
that was amazing.
Tecmo Super Bowl, the second one was killer. Especially when they had like a big hit and it went to like a cut screen. That was just the hit itself, but it wasn't the actual hit. It was just a screen of a hit.
Yeah.
With different colored jerseys every time a team you played. Yeah.
Yep.
It was amazing, though. I loved having to play with LT. I mean, that was great. You got to play with players like that. Yeah. Herschel Walker.
Legends.
And things like, it was awesome. Guys out there smacking it around.
Bo Jackson was a cheat code.
Very exciting. Yeah, Bo Jackson. I love those commercials, too, when they do all that. So, all right. So let's get to our next segment here, Joe.
Let's go.
And that is our franchise tag players here without deals. See, we just came upon the deadline now for all tags to get new deals here and get signed here. So a lot of guys have signed, but they have not gotten deals done like they had wanted to possibly here. Nope. And so let's take a look at that list and see what we have here going on.
So first on the list, we got Dak Prescott. And let's just get it over with, right? There's going to be a lot of talk right now, even going into the season, even going through the season, if we have football. Is Dak going to stay with the Cowboys? Is he going to be looking for a new home? Are the Cowboys going to perhaps maybe even try to trade him? There's so many different variables or so many different scenarios that still have to play out. But Dak Prescott, the interesting thing about this whole situation is that right down to the last minute before the deadline, Dak Prescott and the Cowboys were in fact working on and trying to finalize a deal. Now, the parameters of that deal were looking somewhere in the average per year of 33 to 35 million, and for a 4-year deal. So they were really hustling, trying to get the deal done so they could lock up Dak for the Dallas Cowboys, and Dak would have some security as a player in these trying times with this pandemic that we're going through. He wanted to make sure that he was home for good with the Dallas Cowboys. And unfortunately, due to time constraints, apparently they were not able to get the deal finalized, worked out, and sent into the league for approval, thus making Dak Prescott is now just a tagged player going to play this season. We don't know what the future holds for Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. It's going to be an interesting season if we have one to kind of dive right into the situation. And this is going to be talked about all season long. Like, this isn't going away because, okay, now that's over with. They just couldn't get a deal done. Let's move on. No, this is going to be a hot topic going forward. And the Cowboys are put into a unique situation right now because not only do they have Dak Prescott on a 1-year rental as of right now, but they also signed a guy on a 1-year contract in Andy Dalton. So that could be an intriguing option if they saw that maybe signing Dak to that big money contract isn't in their best interest. And let's see what Andy Dalton can do, which personally I think he could do a good job in that Cowboys offense. Who we got up here? We got Cody Cook in the house here. Cody Cook, one of our know-it-alls.
All right.
What's up, guys? What's going on with you?
Oh, yeah, Cody's in the house. Again, love with the DJ. Yeah, so Dak Prescott, yeah, what's funny is I'm sitting here looking at the numbers again, and I always dog Dak Prescott just because I think with some of the things I see on the field in certain instances
Game
where
situations.
he is game situations where he failed. Because overall,
Absolutely.
if you're looking at the stats that he has, I mean, it's pretty impressive. If I told you had a quarterback that you found in the 4th round that it has a record of 40-24 and 65.8 completion percentage career, along with 15,000 yards, 97 touchdowns and 36 INTs, I think you'd be pretty happy. I mean, you'd go along with that. It's just certain situations that he's been forced in, times when it matters, game-winning drives, things like that, to where
when
he has
it's all
faltered,
on his shoulders.
where it's there and where it's had issues. That's where I think where I've kind of made a statement about the difference between Cam Newton, too, as well. There was a question asked, I think, on NFL.com today. It said, now, do you think Cam is an upgrade from Tom Brady? I don't think so. I mean, Tom Brady, yes, he's aging in things, and he has losing a step, but the one thing that Cam Newton never had is that killer instinct and that poise when the pressure's on. That's one thing you can always give Tom Brady. He's always there to win, always calm and collect, and gets the troops going, never faltered. Cam Newton, when you saw him in the Super Bowl there against the Broncos, scared to death.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even going to.
Yeah, I don't mean to jump into that there, but it's something
terrible.
obvious.
Yeah, I mean, how you make a comparison
know.
of Cam Newton to Tom Brady is absolutely absurd.
Right.
Like, okay, you know how I feel about Cam, right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing: is Cam Newton, all right? Everybody keeps pointing to that 1 year, his one MVP year where he just kind of blew up in stats and everything. But mind you, that offense that he was playing under with Ron Rivera in Carolina, that was geared all to him. Like he didn't have to go outside the box and prove himself in any form or fashion. This guy needed tall, big receivers with big catching radiuses to get them the football. Like he had to throw it above so they could jump up and get it half the time. And Greg Olsen, who back then was in his prime, was always getting open underneath, and it was just easy picking. So that offense was completely geared towards Cam. Cam didn't have to do too much and put too much on his shoulders. He had a great backfield that he was able to utilize. It was a running style offense until he left. Now it's under a new regime. It's going to be a completely different offense. We can't wait to see what that's going to look like. But for Cam to be compared to Tom Brady or who's better, it's not even close. Tom Brady all the way is listen, he's light years in terms of X's and O's mentality to Cam. Now, the biggest question and what we want to see, where I know we're going off topic a little bit here, but just to finish it up, is with Cam in New England, the biggest question mark of all is can Cam nail down that very difficult and complex offense that New England runs? Because that offense is not going to be geared around Cam. Cam's going to have to learn that offense just like Tom Brady did, and he's going to have to execute it all on top of that. So until we see results of that situation happening, if we play football, then the jury's still out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, round it back at here at Dak Prescott. Again, the fact that you have found your quarterback here possibly in the 4th round, he's up for a deal. What he's shown on paper so far has been good. But again, I think they're looking for playoff wins where they have been there and had the opportunity to, take the division easily and make a good, strong playoff run. That's where they have failed as a team. So now, again, you come down to that kind of dial where you try and rank quarterbacks. We've always said, or at least I have in a sense, with Tom Brady, they always bring up the wins that the Patriots have, the rings. I feel it's a team game. You get wins through a team, championships as a team. You can't bring that up as a quarterback ranking or whatever. Dak Prescott, 8-8 last season when they should have done much better than that with the weapons that they had. And the fact that, again, just inching into the playoffs at time, not getting overall, good team wins, but single stats by himself looks pretty decent. But again, when you look down to situational, that's where he falters a little bit. Because again, he can control the football too. Doesn't have dumb fumbles here and there. Can be effective out in play action and also on the run scrambling.
Yep.
So, but the fact that the team themselves values him as a bit lower than what he's looking for is the interesting point here too. And will there be turmoil throughout the season, as there are going to be questions asked? I mean, we've been talking about this for the whole summer so far, even spring since we started back up. Is this going to press on the team as we go week to week? And will he hit free agency next season? And who's the biggest team that might go jumping on him? Is it Jacksonville? Is it some of these other guys?
And that's the most exciting part of all this. Now, with the little bit of news that came out before the deadline, how they were really close on agreeing to a deal, but just quite couldn't get it finalized and finished. If that is true, if that report comes out and it is true, there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to get him signed, when it comes before the next offseason. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Now, we've talked about this off air a little bit here, and it's like, are you going to invest large amounts of money? Now, say with this pandemic that's going on, what's to say that they get to that crossroads and they start saying, well, I don't know if we're going to play this year either. So do we go ahead and we offer this huge contract for a player that may not even step on the football field for us? Do we invest that kind of money now? When we have a guy in our back pocket who's way on the cheap, we could sign him on the cheap long term and move on with him, and then look for a different future for us at the quarterback position. Or do they just say, you know what, screw it, we're gonna go all in, we're gonna agree on this deal, we'll get it hammered out before next offseason, before it even gets close to free agency, and and that's it. We're not going to talk about anything. So we've seen Andy Dalton, who in our minds took a surprise move and went to Dallas back home to be a backup in a sense on a one-year rental. Now, what's to say he comes back, next season, and now he's a free agent. If they sign Dak, that just leaves Andy Dalton now to test the free agent waters instead of Dak Prescott. So there's a lot of variables, like we said. It's going to be interesting to talk about throughout the season.
Hopefully, yes, if we get a season moving forward.
If we get a season, but I say season because it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
I mean, even with the pandemic, we're still going. We're still talking football.
Absolutely. And Cody's Cook is in here on Facebook, and he says, I personally wouldn't pay all that money for Dak unless you're comfortable being a stepping stone team for the foreseeable future. And we've kind of been on that kind of wavelength too as well. Yep. And like I said, it's still kind of intriguing and funny that we still think that way because, again, people, if you look at his stats, again, if you want to look at it overall, you'll hear it from Cowboys fans as well, with the QBR rating and things, that he's the most accurate passer in the NFL going on or whatever, which we see that. But, again, when you can dish it off to guys like, a Zeke here and there and keep it small ball here for these guys, it makes it fairly easy. Right. We've seen Tom Brady do the same thing. Quick, accurate passes. We were just talking about Cam Newton, same type of offense under North Turner, where you're dink and dunk with Christian McCaffrey being your leading receiver and your leading running back. I mean, that sells bells and alarms to me for a sense, here, if that's your guy. Because if you take out that one element, you're done. You know what I'm saying? So
that's the interesting part of the Carolina this year is if they made vast movements with that roster. They brought in Robbie Anderson from the Jets to play receiver opposite DJ Moore. Curtis Samuel, who kind of came on later in the season, starting to make a name for himself. He's there, so they got a nice trio of receivers. And then you also got Christian McCaffrey, Teddy Bridgewater, now the new quarterback. Let's see how all these pieces that they've managed to gather in one spot. Let's see how they can develop and how this offense looks to really get an idea of where they're headed.
We've got Joseph Bordelon. Hey, Raider Bear is in the house with us. Raider Bear is in the house with us tonight. Every team is trying to hold out for 2021. The league cap's going way down. The QB value in all positions, average value, is going to drop drastically. Yeah, absolutely. Because, again, fear of the unknown. What do you have? That's why I think it's interesting to see what's going on with the Chiefs going all in on their guys, locking their guys in here too, because there's a lot of unknown variables moving forward with the NFL and what's going to happen with everybody. If we do get this season going, are they going to we saw those Oakley face shields that they're going to be trying now with the breathing apparatuses here. Is that going to be the part of it? Is that going to be enough for everybody to stay healthy?
It's just a shield with holes. Yeah. Really. I mean, they got the visor covering the eyes. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Like they normally do, but the bottom part of it, the jawline, they have it. It's almost like a plastic shield around the jaw, and there's just holes throughout.
For
So
me,
you
it
can
looks
still breathe
almost
through
similar
it.
to what the hockey players would wear at
Right,
times.
right. So you can still breathe through it, but it is going to restrict, I feel, or maybe not, because that's been the other topic of the Oakley thing is it going to constrict the breathing or something like that? But I think it's far enough away from your mouth that it's not going to really restrict you. I know that's a lot of complaints that players are making right now. Like, oh man, they got a shield in front of my mouth. It's not right up against your face. So, I mean, I think you're going to be just fine. You'll be able to breathe okay. And I think it's another effort put forth by the company Oakley, who their sunglasses are on sale right now. You can get them at 25% off. Go ahead and check them out.
That's great. So then you'll only pay $100 for them.
That's right. But anyway, but I think the NFL is trying to find ways to make the game safer with this pandemic going on, and trying to take everything in account in order to have a season. So definitely got to have kudos for the league trying to make this happen regardless. I hope it does. I hope we have football. There is a sense of doubt in the back of my mind that we're not going to have it. So I hope I'm proven wrong, but we will see as the months roll on. We're getting closer.
Yeah, and we were talking about Raider Bears, talking about value and things of players. We were bringing up the franchise tag players without deals so far. We were just talking a little bit about Dak Prescott. And A.J. Green is, again, another one of those guys out there who's, he's an aging wide receiver. His prime, I think, is behind him. He wanted out of Cincinnati, but again,
really
one of those teams to where they just got to hold on to him, even though they don't want to be there. I just don't get it a lot of times, even if there's suitors out there.
That right there was all the owner. That was all the owner. He is such a grouchy old man who just hates, when players get their way. You know what I mean? So, in a sense, he did that out of spite for A.J. Green. He's like, no, you think you're going to be a free agent this year? Oh, no, I'm going to tag you. Not because I think I need you, but I'm going to tag you anyway, just so I make sure you're a Bengal for at least one more season and you're staying here. You don't get to choose where you go. I do. It was almost like he was like puffing his chest out, proving to the player that I'm in control, not you. And that's what happened there. So A.J. Green, disgruntled as he may be, he will move forward. He will play, and you know what? What's to say? And there was speculation last year that he was kind of pretending to be hurt later in the season for a longer to kind of sustain that and keep it going, so he didn't have to play at all. Now, who knows if that's true? Could be. We've seen that game being played before. But what's to say A.J. Green might not play the whole season again? My hamstring hurts. Sorry, coach, I can't go.
Yeah, I know, and it's sad that there are the owners that would do that to a guy. I mean, we see what's happening with Yannick Ngakoue over there with the Jaguars too as well. And we'll touch on him just a little bit here. Raider Bear's in the house. He said he's going to be sharing it. That's awesome. We appreciate it here, Raider Bear. And he says Zeke Elliott lost his motivation. His own father pre-draft said, don't max him. He'll get fat and less motivated. DeMarcus Lawrence is getting $20 million. Amari gets $20 million, and now Dacky wants Mahomes money with his awesome resume in 2019 of 8-8 and 0-5 against established defensive teams. That's one thing I saw too when I look back. Also, when you look at it, I think some of the other players I think I talked about last week, when you're looking at teams they've matched up against. They were playoff teams that they could not beat or whatever, so you're in it, but you're not beating the teams that you would be facing in the playoffs, and that's your issue.
And you're struggling in your own division. They basically almost it was a fight between the Eagles and Cowboys and who didn't want the division. It almost looked like neither one wanted to win the division, and ended up by default the Cowboys ended up getting it.
And now the Cowboys, like he's talking about all that money out there, they're faced with that little problem that they have here with Dak Prescott. Again, what are you going to get? And I think that's what the Jones are looking at. They're looking at what we see on the field. They see it the same way we do, not like all his stats and what it shows on paper. That's great. A lot of teams look great on paper. How many super teams have we seen on paper that look good but never produced? It's happened a lot.
Yep.
So, and they look at it this way. They've come out, I think Stephen Jones has said it himself, that's just we don't value the quarterbacks the way other people are. We will not break the bank just because he's the next man up to get paid. We're not going to do that. We feel that hinders the franchise, which is smart. That's the way you shouldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? And if you're going to try and do something like that, work it the way the Chiefs had tried to do it here. Now,
Chiefs did a good job.
Load it up on bonus money here and there. Roster bonus is really high, but steady paycheck-wise is lower, like $2-3 million.
The base salary is not even $1 million. It's like $800, $900.
For this season,
maybe $1 million.
Next season goes up to $2.5 million.
It's really not much at all. It's like nothing.
Absolutely.
So, and they've done a great job because now it's converted into a roster bonus. So it's not killing their cap. It's going in as a bonus. So the Chiefs did a great job with Mahomes' contract. It sounds crazy and everything, but the way they constructed it, they did a good job for the first few years. Now, in the tail end of that contract, that's when it's really going to come back to hurt them. So I definitely could see the Kansas City Chiefs coming back in a few years, like, 2027 or 2025, somewhere in that area of that contract, and renegotiating it to if they wanted to keep him. Now, that's the beauty of that deal, too, is they could, if Mahomes, for whatever reason, gets hurt, isn't the same anymore, declines for some ungodly reason, that the Chiefs could get out of that deal and pretty much unscathed if they get into that portion of it. But on the other hand, Chris Jones signed for some big-time money, and again, another bunch of guaranteed money that the Chris Jones is going to be making. $37 million on signing. He had a signing bonus of $37 million out of an $80 million contract. Absolutely insane. Almost half of that right from the get-up. And then you look at the $5 million in incentives that he has. If he reaches those $5 million incentives, then it's $85 million. So they did a good job constructing that contract. And again, but that contract is on the books right now for $16 million in base salary. That's one of them. I looked farther into what the Chiefs are going to have to deal with. Tyreke Hill, after the 2022 season, Tyreke Hill becomes a free agent, or is due to be a free agent. That's another big money contract they're going to have to contend with, as well as guys like Tyrann Mathieu. And after 2021, they're going to have to contend with him. And then Travis Kelce, who's 31 years old. By then is going to be 32, 33 years old. He's going to want a new contract. So these contracts are going to start stacking up where the Chiefs are no way, shape, or form going to be able to hold on to all these key players.
Absolutely. Raider Bear is saying exactly with the Dallas, why max the Dallas squad that's not getting better. Well, in their eyes, they're always getting better every season. When they added Randall Cobb, they were going to the Super Bowl. Now they have CeeDee Lamb, they're going to the Super Bowl. That's fine. You can
every time they make a big addition, they're going to the Super Bowl.
And they also lost their best corner too, as well.
I actually talked to a Cowboys fan over the weekend, this past weekend. He is not on board with Dak Prescott at all. It seems like the Cowboys fans, or at least half of them, maybe the majority of them, are starting to trend the other way now about Dak Prescott. They're starting to learn that, hey, maybe this guy isn't the guy for us to take us over the top. And maybe, hey, let's go with Andy Dalton. Let's give him a shot. We might see – here's the funny thing is, if we have a season, I would really be paying close attention to how Andy Dalton handles the offense in whether we have a preseason game or two or whatever. See what he can do with this offense, because there's no doubt in my mind, I think Andy Dalton could do a better job than Dak Prescott right now in this Cowboys offense. Yeah, possibly, with the Mike McCarthy offense moving forward, potentially, and how much is Zeke? Yes, before they've been Zeke has got to be your main guy and run off of play action and make it work there, but with some of the weapons you do have, potentially you could spread them out. We've seen Mike McCarthy do that a lot. Unfortunately, it's pretty predictable. So will he change it up and do a nice mix of run and pass here and there? And that's always one been thing his knock on moving forward. Yep, that's the one thing that got stagnant in Green Bay. Absolutely. Let's catch up with some comments here, because as we're rolling through, it's going through fast. We appreciate everybody joining with us. Welcome here. Aboard. Attention on deck. The General is on deck. Excellent. Daniel Zavella, we love it. Thanks for joining us. Matt Marinovich is in the house too as well. I'm going to send you guys out to DJ Horn for all that. Thank you for joining us. King Eddie Willis has just joined us.
Yeah, everybody in the house. We appreciate it, definitely. So we're talking the franchise tag players that didn't sign deals on this deadline day. So what do you guys think about some of them out there? We were just talking a little Dak Prescott. Raider Bear says his former coach has a lot of blame for what happened with Dak Prescott. Average play caller 2. That's why he got fired. He's responsible for the 8-8 season.
Yes, sir.
And then touching back onto A.J. Green, when we were touching on that a little bit ago, Cody Cook says, got to feel bad for A.J. Green. I was looking forward to seeing him on a team where he would be in a position to succeed before he got tagged. Yeah, because last time we saw him was his basically Carson Palmer days. Was looking great. That was the guy, the go-to guy there too. Has had a few injuries along the way, but again, hasn't been that guy you would hope to be there. And that team now, since they switched over from Marvin Lewis, after staying with him for so long, being comfortable with getting constant playoff performances, but then not winning in the playoffs. Now they've kind of wasted his career in a sense. Now he's there in an offense that he can't really kind of even be part of right now.
Here's the thing: is AJ Green has always been a prolific receiver for them when he's healthy. When he's healthy, he's been great for them. Now the difference now coming into this year, rookie quarterback, he's going to make he's going to make some bad decisions. It goes hand in hand with any rookie quarterback. How many? We'll wait and see. But where's the chemistry's gone now? Andy Dalton's not there to throw it to AJ Green often anymore. He's not going to be concentrating on him. So Joe Burrow, as great as AJ Green is, even in his latter years right now, how quickly can they connect? How quickly can Joe Burrow and AJ Green connect and develop that chemistry going forward? That's going to be the big question mark for the Cincinnati Bengals. If they can get it rather quickly and get it together, then you could see them kind of AJ Green respond in the way that we normally see him. But the biggest problem for AJ Green in the last couple of years, maybe even 3 years, is injuries. He's at the top of the hill. He's about to fall down on the other end. Can he stay healthy? Can he stay healthy for this franchise, at least for one more year, to maybe be a free agent? I'm going to say maybe be a free agent next offseason and try to find a contending Super Bowl caliber
That's
team.
what you can only kind of look forward to right now.
And then maybe contribute with that organization going forward.
King Eddie in the house. He says, aim with Raider Bear. The number 4D Prescott franchise tag is going to create a house divided. Possibly there, because the money being spread up all over. So
that's the craziest thing about all this is, yes, the Cowboys have an insurance policy with Andy Dalton, who, quite honestly, with Mike McCarthy's offensive playbook, it kind of fits Andy Dalton more than I feel Dak Prescott. Now, like what you brought up before, is he going to mix it up more? I mean, you would have to with a guy like Zeke in your backfield. You can't not hand him the rocket and let him do his thing and then play off of that. So do I think the offense is going to change dramatically? No, but I do think that there's going to be some different variable of the plays that are going to be installed by McCarthy. So it's going to look a little bit different, but not too much. So might be the same Cowboys, but with a little few wrinkles in it.
All right. And Daniel says, I think Dak Prescott should have got paid from the beginning, and he's a good quarterback. Yeah, I think he's serviceable. He's done well. I mean, he's better than some of the lower echelon that's in the NFL. I mean, don't get me wrong there, too. Again, and his stats can back him up there, too. For me, it's also the decisions you make when it's press time, when you need to get things done, where he's kind of faltered at times here.
Yeah, that's where
Michael Cunningham in the house. I want to give you guys a DJ horn. He says Washington should do a survey with fans for what the name should be, and after make sure that no copyright issues. There you go. Yeah, I think that's a great. That's probably the smart thing to do.
Yeah,
I think before you maybe throw the ideas out there after you've already researched them, get the copyrights on all of them, and then do it. It is sad the way it's all happened for them moving forward, but whatever. We'll see what happens with those guys. Matt Marinovich is in the house. He says Dak is pricing itself out of the league. Good, but not great, and that's the one issue with this whole thing. It's not even that Dak Prescott he's good or he's bad or whatever. he's decent. He is a franchise quarterback for a team, but when you're asking the money he's asking on, and he's not really backing down and working with you, then there's an issue then. That, you know what I'm saying? Is it the money worth it to you, or are you a team guy? And that's why I think the Cowboys are trying to relate to him and become, you know, that type of guy.
Yeah, and he did get a few pointers from Kirk Cousins.
Absolutely.
Because Kirk Cousins played this game before and held out and held out and held out and said, nope, not coming down any lower. Redskins say, okay, fine. You know, we're not going to work with you. You know, and he ends up going to Minnesota and getting what he was asking for. Yes, for him, unfortunately, he had to go to a different team just to get that deal, but ended up getting it nonetheless. $30 million per year for 3 years guaranteed, fully guaranteed. So Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott had a phone call conversation, and Kirk said him, hey, stick to your guns. Don't drop down with your offer or whatnot, and see and get the most that you possibly can. So he's doing that, sticking to his guns. And it sounded like it was working because right up to the deadline, it looks like they were trying to finalize a deal between $33 and $35 million a year on average, and they just couldn't get it completely done right before the deadline happened. So it looks like, if that report is true, it looks like they will get a deal done eventually. So.
Absolutely, because I don't think they want to pay him in the franchise tag even next season, too, because it's even going to go up.
It's going to jump up more, right.
So, absolutely. All right, so let's try and find where we're at here. King Eddie says, if I'm Dak Prescott, I'm balling out with self-preservation as the priority, and I'll hamstring the Cowboys another season or start looking for a new team. There you go. Yeah, that's what he's looking to do. Like what we just talked about with Kirk Cousins, gave him the advice. Right. Daniel says, mothers about the Redskins, I think they should change the name to the Washington Warriors. And Joe had brought that up last week, I think, or so. It sounds like a good team. It follows along with what they're doing. It's still respectful to Native Americans if they want to stay on that route. But again, there's even some pullback from that. But if you want to be upset, I'm getting to it just in a second, just because I want to touch on this a little bit here.
Gotcha.
And just on Daniel's comment here, still with Washington, what about all these other Native American mascots like the Cleveland Indians, and what about the Kansas City Chiefs and all the other ones? I know the Braves have said they're staying steadfast here, but they are looking into changing the way they celebrate, along with the tomahawk chop,
right.
Which I agree with too. At Braves, it stands for the young warriors, the younger boys that would be warriors in that, and the hunters. But again, in the tomahawk chop, I could see that as with the challenging, with being in offensive again, because you're kind of mimicking or copying.
Yep.
That sounds fine too.
But I feel with that, the name the Braves, it's paying tribute to a Brave.
Yeah, you're not like, I think the problem with Redskins was basically like you would say an Asian person is yellow skin. So I call you a yellow skin.
Yeah.
I call you a brown skin. Or,
call me whatever you want.
That sounds bad. It just does. I mean, if you're saying, the Chiefs again, I think that's fine if you're doing that.
It's paying tribute.
And they're even using just the arrowhead as their likeness. They're not going back to the old traditional Chiefs. I think used to be a guy in a big headdress and they're waving a hatchet.
Right.
It's breaking those old barriers that they used to be there, cartoonish things that were acceptable in society, no longer acceptable anymore. That's what should be happening really about all this.
Yes, sir.
Get into Cody Cook. He's way up there. Throws a question out there. How are you guys surprised that Jason Peters stayed out on the free agency as long as he did and didn't get a 1 year off of a deal from a contending team other than going back to the Eagles? So, I mean, I'm kind of surprised a little bit. I wouldn't have minded him because I saw what he did even last year. Even though he's aging, he has had a few injuries in his latter years here, but still effective when he's out there, especially in the running game. And that's something that my team, the New York Giants, hasn't had really. We have Saquon Barkley, but when we don't have a strong offensive line and the tackle situation,
you drafted
struggle.
one this year.
Well, we got him this year, so I'm hoping that'll work out here for him.
Andrew Thomas.
But yeah, I am kind of surprised in a sense because you probably could have got him on a cheap. Now, was his asking number off? I don't know. I didn't get any of that information. That could have been part of it too. But I mean, when you set your team to settle back in, is a team that you've been there with and won a Super Bowl with, that's a good place to get back to too also as well.
Absolutely.
It's a nice place.
And here's the one thing that I'll say about Jason Peters. The reason why he was out on the free agent market for so long, one was age. You got to remember, this guy is no spring chicken, and he's been heavily injured the last several years of his career. So with those two things going hand in hand, he's not going to be on the football field for you that much. And the Eagles recognized that and said, "Hey, we're not gonna even try to work out a long-term deal or even a short-term deal with bigger money, because that's what he was asking for initially. He wanted to be paid just like any other starting caliber tackle. So when that came into the equation, they were like, nope, all bets are off. You can go ahead and test free agency, buddy. It's fine. Go ahead, go test free agency, because we don't think we're definitely not going to spend that kind of money. So he did, and guess what? Shock factor. This is what happens to a lot of athletes that go out into free agency thinking they're going to make the biggest money they ever have, and with age and with injuries, they're shockingly surprised that, hey, no one really wants me that bad. Are you kidding me? When I'm healthy, I'm a beast. Yes, he's a Pro Bowl type tackle when he's healthy, but that's the problem. If and when you're healthy. So because of that, that's why you see him just sit out there and just wait and wait and wait. And no, not a lot of teams were calling him up about his services because of those two scenarios. Age and injuries don't mix. And that's why you saw Eagles kind of extended an olive branch out to Jason Peters and said, hey, you know what, buddy? Here, we're going to offer you this. You're going to be able to come back to the Eagles. You're gonna mix it up at the tackle position. We're not giving you the starting job because we kind of already are starting to move on from you. But nonetheless, he's a great insurance policy. Maybe he has to step in if a guy like Lane Johnson, if he happens to get injured again, he could step in at right tackle or whatnot, and they can still move forward with him.
Absolutely. We got Kid Rasco in the house from YouTube. He's throwing out 5 stars. Kid Rasco in the house.
Kid Rasco,
definitely,
you, buddy.
We definitely appreciate
Welcome
out
to the
there.
show.
There you go.
Pointless to resist.
That's right.
My son.
It is. And our boy Mike Tackett is also in the house from Facebook as well. Mike Tackett. Oh, yeah, it's hump day. It's true. It's damn true. Let's look at the past players to get 10-plus year contracts, not favoring any of the quarterbacks. We'll see if Mahomes can break the streak here. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a massive deal, something different that we haven't seen in a while. And looking back, he says Favre in 2001, 10 years, $100 million. Bledsoe, 2001. Oh, we're getting comments. All right, 2001. 10 years, $103 million. McNabb, 2002, 12 years, $115 million. Culpepper, 2003, 10 years for $102 million. Vic, 2004, 10 years, $130 million. Now, when you look at that, if you want to put those guys in a nutshell here, I'm saying those are all bad contracts except for Brett Favre even, right there. I wouldn't. Dante Culpepper, we've seen where his contract ended up. Right. Vic was okay, and coming out of prison, had a resurgence here with the Philadelphia Eagles for a little bit. But no way I'm paying Drew Bledsoe, $103 million for 10 years even still. He was not that great. He was average at best. Even a great backup. Average, starter, could fill.
Yeah, the 12-year contract is what really gets me.
Yeah, and the 12 years for what was it?
Donovan
McNabb, again, who shined
was great in
Philadelphia.
He was great in his prime.
And Redskins, Washington Redskins, not so well. They butted heads with the coach there too as well. It didn't work. King Eddie Willis, he said the deadline has come and gone. Dak Prescott is going to make something in the range of $31 million on the franchise tag. Absolutely. He's going to be getting paid. He got paid somehow. If he's got a nickel and dime him all the way, that's what you're going to do. Dwayne Haskins Jr. right there on YouTube, right there, is saying it. Redskins forever. There you go. Dwayne Haskins has joined us here on YouTube. It's
I like it.
Pleasure right
it's
there
amazing.
having you there. Absolutely. Yeah. See what happens moving forward here with the
just
NFC
became
East.
an all just like that.
I love it.
It's amazing.
I love it. Absolutely. Cody Cook's in the house. He says, replying to Jeremy Barfield, he said that I'm seeing that. Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't even say Jeremy's comments there. Sorry about that, Jeremy. What do you think about Derrick Henry's deal today? If he is worth, I feel he is worth way more than what he got. And I kind of thought that in a sense, too, because when I heard it, I'm like, really? And again, it's where you're valuing running backs. You've heard a lot of contracts coming out lately with, quarterbacks, the DNs, the flashy guys that are going to get the big contracts. So when you hear a running back contract come along and things, this is where you're going to hear it doesn't sound so right. And yes, I think Derrick Henry has been kind of those an unsung hero on a team that didn't notice his potential, I think, for the last couple seasons until this season, where we've been crying for it the last 2 seasons that we've been doing the show.
Yeah, exactly.
We've been telling him, why don't we see more Derrick Henry? Finally, everybody, now the whole world has seen him in the forefront and what he can do, and now he goes for this contract. And yes, I think it's a little undervalued in a sense, though, too. But one, you got to look at what's going to happen in the next coming seasons. A lot of unknowns. And since the Todd Gurley mess up here with him getting injured and what he got paid, I think that's kind of damaged the contracts for running backs.
But that's the thing about this whole situation is, yeah, you might say Derrick Henry is a little underpaid or whatever, but you got to also remember this. Running backs are undervalued. They are not valued like they used to be. They're not making $17 million plus a year, anything like that. They're not highly valued. Now, we all seen what happened to Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley was making, with the Rams, he was making on average of $14.5 million, which was the highest paid running back at the time. And then injuries started to creep in, and people in the Rams and the organization got worried, and they're like, oh, man, what did we just do? We signed this guy. Now we feel like his knees are starting to give out on him, and we just got him to a long-term deal. What are we going to do with this? So teams are starting to see this time and time again when they do get too confident and too cocky with these contracts, saying, we got to lock him up no matter what. Let's do it. Let's make him the highest paid running back and move on from there. It ends up coming back to bite them. And because of that, you're seeing teams be a little bit more careful from time to time, just like this contract. Derrick Henry, no doubt about it. He is an absolute beast. But just recently he's become a beast because now they've been able to run the ball, actually. Now they're calling runs for him. They're giving him the rock more often. They're running. It's basically an offense that runs through Derrick Henry, in a sense, and they just play off of that, kind of like what the Cowboys do, because they usually have run through Zeke and let him run, and when he gets stopped, then we're going to do play action, then we're going to do a little, we're going to do some screens and stuff like that, jet sweeps. So because of this all happening now, the running backs have diminished in value. So you're going to see some of these contracts. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's nothing to shake your eye out here. He is going to make, in his second year, is going to make about $10.5 million, and past that, it looks like $12.5 million. And he's got prorated bonuses. He's got guaranteed salary. When with the bonus and the guaranteed money together, it looks like it's about $29 million. So. In terms of guaranteed money, it's substantial, it's enough, and they both agreed upon it. So that's what you got to look at. If the player and the team is agreeing on this, usually it's a good deal for both. And sure enough, Tennessee Titans lock up their main guy in the backfield. Right,
and then when you talk about that, with him being the focal point of the team, this is why I think you saw a lot of Ryan Tannehill's game step up. A lot of accuracy being there, playing better, because, again, a lot of that stress of being just having to pass full here and there alleviated by a great running game right there. Didn't have to force the ball here and make mistakes. But you saw in the playoffs when they got further where I was on that third down play where they needed to get that catch, he was a little off there, and that's where it faltered for him. He couldn't make the pass, the throw when the pressure was on to get there, and that's the one deciding factor you have with Ryan Tannehill. That I think he played well, but he definitely benefited off of having Derrick Henry in the backfield.
Just like anybody else, right?
Right, yeah. And Cody Cook says, replying now to Jeremy now, he said, I'm seeing that as a team-friendly deal from Henry, he still makes solid money, and the Titans still have money to keep signing weapons and improving. And that's one key point, too, about this and what teams should do more often as well here.
If they can.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Logan Moore is in the house tonight on Facebook tonight.
What's going on, Logan?
Yeah, in the house. Raider
Welcome
Moore.
aboard, buddy.
He's in Henderson, Las Vegas. It's Nevada here. Henderson, Nevada, in the house. And King Eddie Willis is at the house. He says, as far as, going back to Washington, as far as the racist mascot issue, America is very different now. Let's sip on Reconstruction. It works like an enema. The more racist you are, the more full of shit you are. Dan Snyder is the poster child for white privilege, and this is the L that hurts the most. Yeah, I think I can agree with that as well, too. That's Dan Snyder right there, I guess, right there. So go and call the cops out on him.
That's it.
It's done. Yeah.
Get him.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's what you're kind of talking about here too. Let's get the name out of there. Let's get them moving forward. And so far, though, it hasn't gone to a part to where people want to say that maybe targeted something on Dan Snyder to that he is part of the problem and they want to oust him out as an owner. So, I mean, luckily we're not getting to that. As far as the what's going on with America, everybody needs to, I think, I'm just going to say it real quick. I'm not going to get too deep into everything. Everybody needs to focus on each other and spread more love than arguing on what side you're on.
100%.
Join in together, and that's the only way we can move forward. A house divided cannot stand. So there you go. And Kaylee McLaughlin is in the house too with us tonight. Pleasure having you on with the show tonight. So far, we talked about no more Redskins logo. They're going to another one. They have the patents out by another guy, a realtor in Virginia, has the trademark, so they could possibly go through him. They get the new names, and also we have notable tag no signs that are out there. Dak Prescott, AJ Green. Let's look at the list quick here. It's funny, Joe, too, is NFL.com just posted 13 top no signs this season. They just put it up there.
Just did, huh?
Yeah, we're doing it right now.
I'm glad they could catch up to
Yeah,
us.
absolutely. So Hunter Henry's out there, Brandon Scherff, Joe Thuney, Matt Judon, and Yannick Ngakoue is another big name out there. Leonard Williams, Bud Dupree, Shaq Barrett, Justin Simmons, and Anthony Harris. You guys want to touch on any of these out here? Go right ahead. There are a lot of big names, some aging players that could still have some worth out there, and the right team. Where do you think they might go? A lot to talk about here.
That's the crazy thing is you look at that list and you got Hunter Henry, who's been a big name, but no production. Young player at tight end for the Chargers. Just can't seem to stay on the football field to do anything. So, and he's only 25 years old, which is absolutely insane. He's still in mid prime. He's in premier shape. However, he gets injured every single season. So, I mean, what good are you if you can't stay healthy for your team and get on the football field and show some production and help your team win? You're just a bench player. You're not doing anything. So. That's why he ended up getting tagged. It's a prove-it year for Hunter Henry. Quite simply, that's what it is. Can you prove that you can not only just stay healthy, but produce for us going forward? And, that's a big weapon to lose. They have weapons to throw to with now Austin Eckler is now the starting running back for them. They have the weapons in place. If they added a guy like Hunter Henry, that could make their offense way more dynamic. And until that happens, it's just not working out.
Yeah,
for
and you're at that point with that team. I mean, they've got Tyrod Taylor going to be the starter probably there until Justin Herbert might find his spot there this season. We're not sure. We'll see how that goes moving forward there. And weapons out there, too. So, I mean, what are we going to look at and see out of this team now under Tyrod Taylor and dishing the ball out to everyone? Is Hunter Henry going to step out of this here, out of the realm of being just, I'm that injured guy that's been out to where they had to go and find Antonio Gates, out of retirement basically and get him to come back. There's no more Phillip Rivers there anymore. So is it Phillip Rivers was the problem why this team couldn't get further into the playoffs? Because their defense has been pretty solid too as well. I mean, you got Derwin James out there, Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram. I mean, they're stacked right there. There's no excuse why they shouldn't be a contender in the AFC. But the only problem is, too, in that division, it's going to be tough here with the Raiders trying to make moves here, the Broncos there, and the Chiefs right there, remaining champions here, trying to make a push to come back. This is a short year, like you just said, for Hunter Henry. You can't dish out money to a guy with a lot of unknowns on a team that could be on that borderline of rebuilding in a sense, maybe, too, with some of these guys.
Just to touch real quick, also don't forget the rookie that they drafted. They traded back into the first round to draft a middle linebacker that they sorely needed. Kenneth Murray out of Oklahoma is an absolute steal and a beast. Raider fans, he's going to be a problem. I'm telling you right now, he's just going to be a problem. They already have a good defense around him, but he could be the difference maker for them. And in their offense. Here's the thing to me is, there's been a debate. Justin Herbert, Tyrod Taylor, who's going to start for them this year? They're fully comfortable with Tyrod Taylor taking the torch and moving forward. But would not be surprised if the rookie starts over Tyrod Taylor, only if he's able to get this playbook down.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, here we go. Get into the comments. Matt Marinovich, he says the only reason Daniel Snyder pulled a team name is because of corporate pressure, and absolutely, yeah, we know it that way. And I had a rant about this earlier on in the show a little bit. Just the fact that, like, yes, we know that's why he did it. The fact that some people want to argue the fact that he should be commended for it or not, I think is stupid. Because, I mean, yes, we all know why he did it. He did it. Now it's over. Why do we need to bicker about why or when he did it? We don't really need it. It's been done.
Matter.
Whatever it took to make change, it made it happen. You know, it's sad that, you know, some lives have been taken here, too, on this whole movement that's been going on in America to make change happen. But you know what? The point you're looking at now is change is happening, and we need to move forward and make it happen and keep moving forward. The Kaylee in the house again. Raiders again. She's pushing that Raider button, Joe. She's getting
I like
on
it. I like
yeah,
it.
absolutely. All right, and where else we got? King Eddie Willis. My dark horse in the NFC West is the Phoenix Cardinals. Going into the Phoenix Cardinals right there.
I like you. You have balls. I like
That's taking
balls.
it back, too.
That is.
Phoenix.
It is. Phoenix.
Calling them Phoenix
Yeah,
Cardinals.
Phoenix
I like
Cardinals. Look at that, you know. So, yeah, who knows? Kyler Murray, he was like, I think, wasn't he the offensive rookie of the year even last season?
Didn't deserve it, but yeah.
But yeah, he started to play better towards the end of the season. Now he has, you know, some more weapons. He got DeAndre Hopkins over there. I mean, how beautiful
One
is
of the
that?
best receivers in the
with
league.
like one of the best in the, of all time, Larry Fitzgerald on the other end too. Christian Kirk. I mean, it could be something nice over there in Phoenix. Phoenix. He made me say it.
Arizona.
Arizona. All right. King Eddie also says hashtag RN4L, and I'm sure that's Raider Nation for life, right? And Kaylee, I think the Raiders will be good this season. I'm hoping they're good. I'm not a Raiders fan here, but I do follow him. Joe is a Raiders fan. He's my best friend here, so we talk about it a lot, and I can break them down with a lot of other people too and understand their strong points, their bad points, the parts that frustrate me as well. I think they have the potential to be good. I think they should be better. I think they could be better.
The only way they'd be better is if their defense plays better.
I was just going to say that at one point.
Paul Gunther, who's been an absolute terrible D coordinator for us, is just it just boils my core. I can't stand a guy who just doesn't get results when he has talent available to him. And it seems like the last couple of years, the Raiders have been able to gather talent on that defensive side of the football, and I have not seen a big step forward in the defensive production. I haven't seen them been able to stop teams left and right. Haven't been able to see, you know, a lot of third downs is what kills us. It doesn't matter if it's 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 17. We still give up a first down, and that's because of Gunther. I don't blame the talent. I think the talent is there to make a difference. It's just the defensive play calling or what he's teaching in terms of each different position. But I feel that Gunther is the issue. It's not the players. The players are good players, and they just they're not getting the coaching that they need to take that next step. It's quite simple. That's why you also saw the Raiders do a different type of move that I didn't see coming is on the D-line. The D-line coach that they now have, they've hired Rod Marinelli to replace Brenton Buckner, which was a surprise to me because I did like Buckner a lot for that D-line. But Rod Marinelli, they brought him, not only is he a veteran coach, but he's a great D-line coach, and he has been a D coordinator. So watch out for Gunther. He could possibly lose his job by the bye week if he's not getting it already done, or if the Raiders are having a losing record. You could definitely see a D coordinator change happen.
All right, and King Eddie Wilson's in the house. He says, do or die season. And Matt Marinovich says Rod Marinelli, you just brought up, brought Collins and Heath in for the from the Cowboys and will be DC by the end of the year. There you go.
You see that Cowboys connection now that they brought in a couple of underrated free agents from the Cowboys. Malik Collins is an absolute beast on the interior. Watch for him to really create a lot of pressure for the Raiders and to help Clellanfurl and I'm going to forget his name right now. Could I forget his name?
I don't know. It happens sometimes when we do this show when we're trying to think quick and talk. We forget names a lot.
Yep.
But, all right, and Thomas Kasdorf is in the house with us tonight. Kasdorf, he says he agrees, Raider Nation for life. Need new defensive coordinator. There's a lot of agreement there, too, with everybody also, So, I mean, you can see a lot of Raider Nation here on the same wavelength that you're talking about.
Max Crosby.
Joe, absolutely.
I just had
Max
to get his
Crosby,
name out.
Yeah, all right.
Max Crosby.
And
there we go.
I'm not a mind reader, so I couldn't help you on that one.
Here's the craziest thing about that whole scenario is that Clelin Ferrell last year was playing a lot of D tackle. Wasn't really supposed to play it, but nonetheless, he did a decent job, an admirable job. But now this year he's going to switch back out of D end where he should have been, and watch out for both of them. They're both in great shape. They look like they're mirror images of each other. I think they're really going to get after the quarterback and make a difference on that D line.
Absolutely. And King Eddie Will says, when the Raiders played the Minnesota Vikings early last year, Gunther got exposed. Marinelli does make the D more respectful. Yeah, absolutely, and I agree with that too as well.
Got that veteran leadership.
And unfortunately too, I think when he was brought in, they expected Vontaze Burfict to be kind of like the quarterback of their defense in a sense of too, and not having him for them just instantly, I think, already set them off into a bad situation. So he couldn't help them and help bring that defense further for him.
For him, it was great because he was that quarterback, of the defense for them. He was able to teach the youngsters and the guys that have been there, and bring them right up to speed to where they were really starting to get into the inner depths of that defensive, scheme. So that way, a lot of the players were just kind of flying around and playing instead of having to think first and then trying to move. So he did pay off big dividends for them in terms of teaching and growing with the defense. But it was just very unfortunate to lose him later in the season, and that right there kind of derailed that parental unit on the football field, if you will.
So let's take a look at this list again here.
Let's do it again.
Just because I started to think about this, and I think Cody, if Cody's still out there watching with us tonight, I'm a Giants fan. He's a Giants fan. Leonard Williams, and there have been links to now possibly the Giants getting we're talking about getting Anthony Harris from the Vikings. Now, what is Cody's view on that potentially? Possibly having Anthony Harris there for the Giants, and his opinion on Leonard Williams. I think Leonard Williams overall is just kind of an average player. He might have helped out our team a little bit last season, but not really what you would expect or what he probably wants to get paid here. And I think we're stacked at D tackle even as it is, so I don't think we really need him there. I was upset myself that we just even didn't let him walk. I mean, I know they made a trade for him, but I mean, it didn't matter. It wasn't a lot. So, I mean, I wouldn't franchise tag him. I would have tagged somebody else that was a little more important that we might have needed. But Leonard Williams, I don't really see him being on the team coming up next year unless something ridiculous happens here, but I would rather him be gone. Anthony Harris, that would have been a great addition, I think, for the Giants, too, here in the safety position to strengthen that defense where they've been getting burned over the top.
The problem with Leonard Williams is that he was making $11 million last year, and he wants bigger money, but you need to show production on the football field. If you weren't able to create pressure consistently, and you weren't able to get sacks, that's not production. You're not going to be able to say, hey, I'm worth $15 million. Why? Why are you worth $15 million? You really haven't done anything. Yes, you're a good player, but you're not elite. Elite players get paid that kind of money, especially at D tackle position. So, Leonard Williams, you're absolutely right. I completely agree with you. He's an average player. I definitely foresee him being a free agent. Now, the craziest thing, too, is that they traded for Leonard Williams' rights. They got him to pry him away from the Jets so they could have them, and now it seems like that trade, the draft picks they gave up just to get Leonard Williams, it seems like it's going to end up going to a waste, and that's unfortunate. I want to touch on Brandon Scherff right now.
Sure.
Redskins guard, all-pro guard, mind you. Definitely has some left in the tank. Now, he is coming off of an injury, which could hurt him in his negotiations. But nonetheless, this is another guy that I think the Redskins can't let walk out the door. Their offensive line was in shambles last year with injuries and without a consistent pass and run blocker like Brandon Scherff. That's going to hurt the development of Dwayne Haskins. It's going to hurt the development of the other young players on that offense. So I think that's a guy they definitely have to lock up And you could say the same thing for Joe Thuney. It sounds like for the Patriots, it sounds like they're ready to move on from him after this year. It seems like we've already seen the Patriots. They don't like to spend a ton of money. So Joe Thuney wants to be paid that top dollar for his services, and it looks like they're on a one-year rental with him. But there's a couple teams you got to look for. If he becomes a free agent next season, Joe Thuney, it seems like this happens every single year with Patriot players. They go to a couple of different teams. Yeah. The Miami Dolphins, Brian Flores, who used to coach on the Patriots, Matt Patricia in Detroit, used to coach with New England. So you see those ties. Now watch out to see where Joe Thuney possibly goes if he becomes a free agent.
Absolutely. We've got the comments lighting up. We appreciate everybody dropping the comments. Definitely everybody who's watching from Facebook, watching from
appreciate
YouTube,
you all.
And on Twitter also as well. We appreciate you guys joining us with us tonight. Cody here is touching up on the Anthony Harris thing. He did not heard the Anthony Harris rumors, but he would be happy with that for sure. And he says he doesn't mind Leonard Williams, but he don't think that he's worth all that money despite his ability to create interior pressure for the Giants. And I'm in agreement on that kind of too as well. I mean, I was one of those guys I was pushing hard to trade Odell Beckham Jr. when people were laughing at me and said I was an idiot, and they did it anyways. And I thought we did well. We were able to get a lot of picks to help out the team overall. So I think we're still going to see the effect of that trade this coming season, and hopefully it's a positive one. So, we'll see what happens moving forward there. There's a lot of guys coming up here on here. So I will go with King Eddie Willis here. He's the more Raider questions for you, Joe. And I'm going to add Matt Marinovich in this too as well. Eddie says, what are your thoughts as far as if the Raiders defense is top 12 and the offense is top 10? Is that realistic? Would the Raiders make a playoff spot?
Now, this question here is kind of like, I definitely could see the offense being top 10, no doubt about it. I mean, here's the other thing too, is like now that they have all the weapons around Derek Carr complete. I mean, you look how scary this offense can be. Josh Jacobs in the backfield, this solid, super, mega, gigantic offensive line that they have that does a great job run blocking and pass blocking. They got all the weapons around like Darren Waller. They got. It's just absolutely mind blowing on what they could possibly do with a guy like Ruggs now involved, with a super speedster like he is that could take the top off a defense, and guys like Tyreke Williams, who now is going to be finally healthy. There's a lot of electricity in the air for the Raiders on offense. Now on defense, I'm sorry, I'm still not a believer in Paul Guenther. I don't think top 12 is even close to where we're going to end up being. I think maybe top 15 being 15th, the top of our ranking. If Paul Guenther can get his act together and get this team working together hand in hand and calling the right plays. Because far too often the Raiders fans have seen too much zone plays. They're just soft zone, you're giving up the middle, you're giving up everything all over the football field, and then worry about tackling the receiver after the play. No, that cannot happen. We need to contest those throws. We need to be in around the football all the time and just get after it. Create the pressure, get right on top, play man-to-man. That's what the Raiders used to do. They used to be aggressive. They used to be knock people off their feet. And now you're not seeing that anymore. Now we're playing soft on defense, laying back. Let the Chiefs do whatever they want with Tyreke Hill and Travis Kelce and killing us. All these other teams passing the football at will. It's got to stop. So for those rankings, I see offense, no problem. But on the defensive side, I'm sorry, I can't see it, especially with the young secondary that we're going to have this upcoming year. We don't know who the other starting corner is opposite Trayvon Mullen. So a lot of variables, and with Paul Guenther's mistakes in the past, I just can't see us coming close to 12.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
And Matt Marinovich says linebackers Littleton and Kwiatkowski and cornerback Prince Mukamara, their experience will help the Raiders D, he says here too. Let's hope so. Again, those are great additions to the team. And Mukamara still, again, being able to play, I mean, despite, being in and out, and not even potentially seeing retirement looking at him.
The whole reason
I think
why
the experience would be there, though.
That's the craziest thing. But Mukamara, the whole reason why he was brought in because he's good at zone defense. And if that's what Guenther is going to still go with, I definitely could see us getting shredded up again.
Yeah, the thing is, with that, you need to have, I think, pressure, to
got it. I mean, I'm sorry. And here's the thing: is everybody thinks it's very hard to figure out like the Patriots offense and how to stop them. It's really not. It's very, very simple. What's one thing that distracts them and throws them off their game? You play bump and run, man-to-man coverage, get in their face, throw them off their timing, throw them off their routes, and it makes it way harder for the quarterback to connect. It's that simple. Same thing with any other defense. I understand not every defense across the board has the secondary to do this, but if you do, don't make it hard. Man-to-man, let your pass rush get there. Let them make the quarterback rush the throw and screw up and then make the turnover. So
absolutely,
just get it done.
All right, Mike Tackett in the house again from Facebook. He says, what are your guys' thoughts on players filing an appeal with the league on their franchise tag position allocation, i.e. Leonard Williams situation? I am of the opinion that you should be compensated where the majority of your snaps happened at. This reminds me of the Jimmy Graham situation when he was in New Orleans. He it just bumped up. Sorry, he was wanted wide receiver money despite being a tight end. Right, and this is where I think it was Shaq Barrett now wants to get paid as a D end in a sense, a D end money or whatever. But they're trying to. I think where they're not coming to in terms here over there in Tampa Bay is they want to still like say, well, you're a linebacker, we're going to face you as this or whatever, and that's where there's an issue there. And we've seen a lot of these guys want to get compensated, like he said, where your majority of your snaps are, which is beneficial, but. We've also seen guys like, say, Jimmy Graham, where you're in a great position here in the Saints being utilized well with the type of offense they're running as a receiving tight end. But now you've gone to Seattle and then Green Bay with lackluster results.
And the reason for that is because they just don't simply quite use the tight end spot. You went to Seattle where they just never hardly throw to the tight end position. You went to Green Bay where for some strange reason, the offensive playbook was dictated to just not throw it to the tight end. So early on in Aaron Rodgers' career, he used the tight end tremendously. It was like the go-to all the time. And then new coaches come in, they change the offense. Now the tight end position becomes more of a just a distraction for the defense instead of a focal point where they could really attack. Since Jimmy Graham has left New Orleans, yes, he hasn't been productive at all. But a lot of that is because the offenses that he went to just weren't utilizing him. And that's what's baffling to me, is he lost the argument with the New Orleans Saints because he wanted to be paid as a receiver. But here's the thing, is you were drafted as a tight end. You are a tight end. You're a physical tight end. And yes, just because they line you up at the slot, a lot of the times in New Orleans they did it a lot, and then they also use you at the traditional tight end position. You're a tight end. You should be paid like a tight end. You want to be paid the highest paid tight end? Fine, that's okay. But for you to just outright want to change your position, be like, no, well, you use me more because of my amount of snaps at receiver in the slot, I should be paid like a receiver. I kind of disagree with that. I'm sticking with what your position truly is. That's what you want to get paid the highest paid for that position. Fine, but if not, I don't see the. Well,
argument. First of all, I disagree with the Green Bay situation. I think that just he was not playing up to par like he should. There was plenty of opportunities where he got the ball in the end zone and just tried to one-hand it or whatever and didn't make the play. And secondly, what do you even think? Like, say maybe possibly if you're saying get paid by even position that you play. Does Taysom Hill get paid as a quarterback?
Yeah,
get quarterback money.
That's what he was drafted.
Even though they use him more as a running back, and he's not even like a skilled quarterback right now.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he's going to make $20 million. Mm-hmm. He don't play.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying if it comes down to it again, is he going to be looking for more?
Here's the same argument too.
Higher paid than say like a running back or a utility.
Same argument too. Le'Veon Bell. Mm-hmm. He wanted to be paid as a slot receiver, because he was utilized in the passing game a lot. Mm-hmm. And guess where he ended up? Nope, you're paid as a running back. That's really what it is. Like. Mm-hmm. You can't make just because you're playing running back and now you get a lot of passing, you get a lot of receiving plays, probably more than you do running. That doesn't make you a receiver all of a sudden. you're still a running back. In the team's eyes, you're a running back. Now, if you were a receiver and you started running the ball on jet sweeps or something more, and they're trying to make you get paid as a running back, no. It doesn't go both ways like that. No, you have to pay that receiver as a receiver. That's how you brought him in. That's how you drafted him. That's what the money he deserves. So, I mean, the case can be made all the time, they believe this. Nope. What your position is, what your true position is, that's what you should get paid. That's just my opinion.
So there you go. Yeah, you disagree with what Mike Tackett says. I think it's situational, like what he's kind of getting at in a sense. How are you used by that team at that particular moment? You could go to another team and they might utilize you somewhere else. I mean, wherever you have more value. But you have seen guys like Rob Gronkowski become a juggernaut of a player, still receiving at the tight end position and being a key player there, not only in blocking, but then also, like I said, matching up, moving him onto the outside on a mismatch on a smaller corner where you can just smash around through him. We've seen things like that happen, but he hasn't really complained so much, about what he gets paid here and there and things. So it's tough. I think it's situational, and I understand where you're coming from too as well. I just overall think it's a great debate. I love it all together. Great question or comment here by Mike Tackett. Thomas Castorf in the house. He says, now question Gunther. Could he be better with the talent we have? I think you've said it. Now we have. I'm personally not a fan when he put a slow linebacker to cover up on a top wide receiver. But now we have better talent. Is there a possibility for him to be better coordinator for what we now have on the roster? You would hope so. That's like kind of what you're all asking here when you guys are talking about this. You're like, and let's see if Eddie says something right here too. Eddie, the Prince is a big and physical enough, plays some press, man to man, good rotational player. Yeah, see, now you're getting better players here as a nucleus. You would hope this is what you guys are asking. If you guys do get better, would it save his job? Maybe. But, I mean, you would hope that you do get better. If you don't, he's probably definitely out. And then you're making the switch over. But we'll see moving forward, when the season happens, I guess.
I mean, real simply, Gunther just not a good D coordinator. It's that simple. Why do you think the Bengals let him walk? I mean, they really did. They let him walk, and then the Raiders said, we're going to bring him on. Here's the thing, is when you start to notice teams that are just willing to let a guy just walk right out the door, it's usually a red flag. Whether it be a coach, whether it be a player, usually a red flag. You're not going to get a whole lot of production. Paul Gunther has been a disappointment season in and season out, and even with the increased talent that they keep getting every year, it seems like he keeps falling short of play calling, of even scheme, game day. Listen, the other big problem about Gunther, now you got me fired up, Raider Nation. You got me really going right now. So now the other problem with Gunther is that he also doesn't make adjustments throughout the game. Are you kidding me? You're a D coordinator in the NFL. You got to make adjustments throughout the game, let alone halftime. And what does he do? The same deal. He comes out in the first quarter and then comes out in the same in the third and fourth quarter. It's the same thing all the time. Guess what? That's why after halftime, you start to notice that teams on the opponent's side are starting to run up and down the field on us, passing, running, doing whatever they feel like because they've changed something. They made an adjustment against our defense. And guess what? Our lovely Paul Gunther has not. He just can't seem to do it. Can't break out of the mold. Can't deliver. So, Gunther, sorry, you suck. You need to go. Goodbye.
No, God! No, God, please, no!
Yeah. Who goes? Dude, let's see what happens moving forward. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen.
Listen, the guy's he's got talent up the wazoo now. I mean, the secondary, that's a whole other discussion, a whole other different type of debate because they are so young right now. There's going to be a lot of questions now. Can they? We've already seen Trayvon Mullen. He proved himself last year as a rookie. So we know he's the real deal for us going forward at corner. Now, every other position, listen, we saw John Abram won half a game. Not even a whole game. Half a game last season. We don't know how good he's going to be. He played well for the first half, but we need more evidence that he's the legitimate, he's the reason. He's going to be the guy in the back end that's going to really kind of take our safety position and catapult it straight up. So, a lot of question marks in that. And Gunther there, I don't know. I don't see it.
Absolutely. Joe, why don't you we take a time to show everybody or tell everybody where you can find us here on Football on the Know. So many guys are just joining us right now.
Absolutely. Guys, first of all, I want to say thank you all for joining us. You guys have been amazing. You're awesome. Mike Tackett, we see you here every week. You're a bomb, bro. You drop the knowledge every single week on our group. You can find us on Football on the Know Show. Look us up on our group. Become a know-it-all. Become a member there. Also on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube. If you can, do me a favor. Even if you don't watch YouTube, if you have an account, it'd be great for you to just hop over there and just click that subscription button to us. Football on the Know Show. Search us up. Hit the subscription button. Hit the notification bell for our latest and greatest updated content. And also, you can check us out at Twitter at FB_know. And just hit us up. Let us know.
Absolutely, thank you. And we're streaming through Restream on my personal page, like that. So that's why I know you guys are seeing my name out there and stuff. But yeah, Football on the Know Show. Join our group. It'd be great to have you along with us. We appreciate you guys joining us tonight, and a pleasure out to our friend Raider Bear for all the Raider Nation out there.
Raider Bear, much love, bro. You are an amazing dude.
Absolutely, and
great
again,
guy. If you're new to our show and you haven't checked Raider Bear out, I highly recommend it. If you're a Raider fan, this is the absolute best show to go and check out Raiders news. Raider Bear Live.
Definitely, I agree too. I'm going to give that one to as well. And again, I'm not a Raiders fan altogether, but I've watched his show a few times too, and it's very interactive and very knowledgeable too, and a great friend of the show. Absolutely. So let's go just for a few more guys on here. Again, I think are interested in talking about too. Justin Simmons. Now, I think Joe and I have talked about this off air. Again, Raider fans out there, how would you feel about even stealing Justin Simmons from the Broncos even to join your squad? How would you feel about that? And Yannick Ngakoue out there, a guy, we talked about AJ Green being locked up with his team with the Bengals. They just won't let him go even though he doesn't want to be there. Yannick Ngakoue has just told him straight up, dude, I do not want to play for you. I don't want to be here anymore.
No, he wants out.
And then they just, no, you're going to play under this and there. And there have been teams that have inquired about this guy. And yet still, you don't even there's teams inquiring. Right now at this point, people know that he doesn't want to be there. You're lucky that people are still inquiring and we're willing to give you something right now for him. Why don't you take it? Instead of just having to say, well, eventually he's just got to walk away and go to somebody else now anyways, or just cut him or something like that. I mean, it's ridiculous. Take the deal while you can get it. Get him out of there. You're in a rebuild mode as it is. Just live with it. Part ways. Stop being that girlfriend that just wants to latch on and not let you go even though she just wants to treat your life like living hell. Right? Absolutely. Jaguars, what the hell are you doing?
So, right? I mean, here's the thing. Yannick Ngakoue, the guy wants out. He wants out of your organization. He wanted to be traded last year. He desperately wants out. He does not want to be there anymore. And I feel like there was some friendships that he's lost along the way. You look at Calais Campbell, who was a staple of that D-line. He's gone. Now he's with the Baltimore Ravens. You look at Jalen Ramsey. They've traded him. Now he's with the Rams. So you see A.J. Bouye also left in free agency. Now he's gone. This defense that they once had that was a very solid defense, they kind of developed up together, grew up together, minus Calais Campbell. He was a new addition. But now they've created such a strong friendship. Now he's seeing all his buddies leave. This one, that one gone, this one gone. He looks around himself and he's like, he doesn't even recognize the defense anymore. He wants out now. He's like, you know what? If you're getting rid of everybody else, I want out. Let me go. Trade me. Get me out of here. I don't want to be here anymore. There's been plenty of teams that were interested. And the craziest thing, the absolute craziest thing is not only did they tag him to keep him for another year, but also they're not even willing to listen to trade offers. There's a team, undisclosed obviously, they offered a all-pro type of player, and the Jaguars are like, no, we don't care. We just don't want to trade him. Why would you, Jacksonville, not want to trade a guy who just doesn't want to simply sign with you, doesn't want to work out a deal at all, and wants out? Why aren't you entertaining these trade offers? Makes no sense. So you're willing, let me get this straight, you're willing to not trade him, not get compensation for him, and let him walk in free agency. Because that's what's going to happen. I just don't understand it.
Do it! No! God! Make your dreams come true! Please, no! Do it! No! Just no! Do it! No!
That's what's going on in Jacksonville right now.
That's right.
You're like,
sounds
do
about
it.
right.
You're like, no! This is what's happening for them. Yeah, so, I mean, who knows what goes on further in that whole tale. Thomas Kasdorf in the house says, Raider Bear Show. Check it out. Number 1, 8 p.m. West Coast, 11 p.m. on the East Coast. We love it. Raider Bear. It's a good time. And King Eddie says, number 24, Jay Abrams is a stud here for the Raiders. And
for half a game he was a stud. You know, that's the only thing is I'm playing it cautiously here. Like, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, he's going to be amazing. He looks the part. Don't get me wrong. He looks like he's going to be a hard-hitting safety for them. I want to see more pass coverage for him. We didn't see a whole lot. And let's see him play a whole game. Let's see what we actually have in John Abram. Because you know what? Just because you played a half a game and you looked real good in that first half doesn't mean your whole career is going to be like that.
Yep. So that's it for our franchise tag players without deals out there. We'll see what happens moving forward during the season. A few players did re-sign deals and things.
Yes.
And one of them is Myles Garrett here for the Cleveland Browns. He is the highest paid player outside of a quarterback right now. He's getting $125 million. I think the deal was for 5 years.
$125 million and $100 million guaranteed. Yeah, almost his whole contract, guys. 5 years of it. That's absolutely insane. I don't care for any player to have almost 100%. Now, we've seen the likes of Kirk Cousins get his fully guaranteed, and that was $90 million for a quarterback. But we're talking about a pass rushing specialist, a D end, not just your average D end. He is a great D end. However, $100 million guaranteed to this player, man, you just tied yourself and locked it up. It's going to come back to bite. You look at all these other big money contracts that the Cleveland Browns have already done. OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr. You got Jarvis Landry. I think he's third on the list in terms of team salary. Incredible contracts, high contracts. Now, what's going to happen when the likes of, and let's just say for argument's sake, Baker Mayfield, if he happens to take a step forward, and by the time his rookie deal is up, and they got to re-sign him, where's that going to leave him? So, a lot of questions there in Cleveland. It looks like they're heavily investing in all their young guys early. So we'll have to wait and see. Now, they've been crowned as having one of the best in terms of the roster, one of the best weapons in the league. We'll have to wait and see. It looks like that on paper, but you gotta prove it. Got to see that production on the football field.
Get down on your knees and tell me you love me.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't. That team, like all the players they got and with the stuff they're not able to do, and Myles Garrett sitting on the other side.
Here comes the money.
Here we go.
Bringing it up, boy. You know what I'm saying?
Here comes the money. Money.
Yeah. He's up there. He got what he wanted to, and even despite after everything that went down with Mason Rudolph and things, you weren't sure what was going to happen because he did get suspended even for a bit this season. So gets the deal done. He's happy there in Cleveland, and this is a prove-it year, I think, for this team. Surprisingly enough, with the talent that they have out there, with what this team has done as an organization, and now they have a new GM over there now too. So. How are they going to move forward? How is that going to help Baker Mayfield's development over there, too, as well? They fix their offensive line. This is the time to kind of show what they can do here.
They did that a little bit. They drafted Jedrick Wills, who I am a huge fan of, coming out of Alabama. I think he's going to be great for them. However, how much more are they going to build around this offensive line? They made some minor additions. Maybe it's going to pay off, maybe not. But all in all, they've neglected this offensive line for quite some time. Much like the Giants did in several years with Jerry Reese as GM. Just completely went against the grain on that. Cleveland Browns, you might have the weapons, but do you have the protection? That's a question for you.
All right, that's it for our show tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Like we said earlier, follow us on Facebook here. Join our group on Football on the No Show. On Twitter, FB_No, and on YouTube. Go visit us on YouTube. It's Football on the No Show. We are new to YouTube, so we're getting out there. We only have a few subscribers out there, but we're building the team quicker as we go. Tell your friends about it. If you enjoyed the show, had a lot of fun, that's what we're about. We bring the knowledge. We also bring the fun, and you guys bring the knowledge to us and make us better all together, working together as a team. That's what we are. You're a part of our family, and you guys are know-it-alls out there. We love it. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.